Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Farm Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, Finn, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave. We're here to talk about NFL, boys. How are we doing?
Very good. Apparently,
Howdy.
we all owe you an apology because it's been fed back to me by two separate people that our intro last week and ignoring you at the beginning was a disgrace. So sorry, Jim.
Really?
It's about
Really?
time.
That's
One
terrible.
of the people said that they looked at their phone and went, "Has it stopped?" And then we started talking. So yeah, sorry about that.
It was worse for me because I was looking at you all just staring at me.
At least
mean-
they were expecting us to be speaking, so
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
It has only happened once in about 400 episodes. So
yeah. Well, no, it's
It got to
nice
a
that you
point- It got
responded.
to a point where it became a choice as well.
I'm gonna look at what episode we're on. Hang on. Phil, go
Phil.
on.
All right, Phil. Well, we're going to be talking about the Week 6 games that have. What week are we on?
5.
Week
Five.
5. Week 5 games that have just happened. Lots to go through. Obviously, 14 games, not 16 for the first time this season. We're going to go through all of them. And then, obviously, we're going to be going away and coming back another time to do the preview of the next week. Have I filled enough yet, Dave?
No.
Oh, I'll just have to cut it, won't I? Give you the silent treatment.
You
Worth a
might
shot.
have to cut it because I'm struggling.
While you're struggling, I'm going to carry on with the pod, if you don't mind. Because I'm not going to start with the Thursday night game, because we're going to have to run some Felony Watch.
Felony Watch.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, here we go.
Yes. Dave's favourite segment is back.
It's only
And-
because I'm from Nottingham.
Yes.
Makes me feel like I'm at home.
Well, I've got some bad news for you, Dave, because there was an article just came out today that following the domestic violence case involving former Baltimore Ravens running back Ray Rice, who we all know and hate, back in 2014, the NFL implemented new procedures to handle player arrests. Obviously, it's been 10 years since then, and over the last decade, the amount of arrests by NFL players has halved.
I mean,
Halved.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good for everyone, but not for my Felony Watch.
Oh,
It's
We have
I
to
mean,
drag around for it.
are we sure this 10-year policy isn't just bribing people so that people don't get arrested?
Oh, well, they didn't actually say that in the article by ESPN's Jean Toy. But according to figures provided by the NFL, there were 74 player arrests back in 2011. But this last year, there were only 38. Well, 2023, they're down to 38.
so it's down by half. It'd be down by a quarter if it weren't for Deshaun Watson. Think about it that way.
They must have rolled that into one, I think, for Deshaun.
Shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, it's hard times for Felony Watch lookers, but thank God for Jabril Peppers, because he was arrested on Saturday in Braintree, Massachusetts, following alleged assault. Oh, this is terrible. This isn't working out at all. Police responded to a disturbance on Saturday morning. The player potentially faces charges on assault and battery, including another count with a dangerous weapon and possession of cocaine. Cocaine. This is actually really horrible because he apparently was beating up his pregnant girlfriend, which is just a thing that these guys seem to do quite often. Of course, Peppers had just signed a 3-year, $24 million extension this offseason with the Patriots, but had been injured the last couple of weeks. So at home a lot more.
Wow,
Yeah,
ironic.
I don't like.
I'm
Well, I
saying
never liked
nothing.
Jabril Peppers because he got drafted by the Browns. Absolutely flamed out there, as most people do with the Browns.
I'm going to be honest.
Belichick picked him up.
There's a lot of Peppers in the league. There's been loads and loads, and I lose track on who's and who. It's
Has
like
there?
Flowers. There's been loads of
There's been
different
some
flowers.
very good Peppers, though. Julius Peppers,
Yeah.
for example. Jabril, not a good one.
All peppers taste the same. Gonna be
Some are more
honest.
spicy than others, mate.
Yeah,
This one can get in the
seems to be
bin.
the case.
So, yeah, hope he gets the full force of the law brought against
Have the Bengals signed him yet?
him. Not yet, but
Okay. We'll keep
anyway.
you to our
There's still
phones for
time.
breaking news. Yeah.
wait for Schefter to announce that one. I think he might have been released by the Patriots. They haven't. I think they're waiting for the results. But anyway, I had to do one for you, Dave. It flashed up. I was like, I've
Excellent.
got to show you.
I still want to see Call Your Jets. I want that back. Need to see a return.
It could happen. I mean, we're getting to that stage where we should be calling some Jets. But we're going to go on to the review now. And we're going to start, as we always do, with the first game of the weekend. That was Thursday night. It was the Bucks at the Falcons. And you got to feel for Al Michaels being lumbered with the Thursday night commentary slot. But this week, we at least got something to talk about with a lot of touchdowns. There were only 2 punts in this game. In a finish that mirrored week 4, the Falcons had a minute to go to get into field goal range, and Younghoe Koo got the 3 points, this time to take it to overtime. The Falcons won the toss, and a Kadero Hodge 45-yard touchdown play later, the Falcons get the walk-off win. Final score was the Bucks 30, Falcons 36.
This is the first time we've seen Kirk Cousins look like Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in this game. I think he got nearly 500 yards as well. He was incredible. So yeah, well done to him. And it was a game under the lights, which he's notoriously bad at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Proper shootout, this one.
Mm.
The only worry is that Atlanta keep leaving it late and incredibly late.
Yeah.
To have a
Yeah,
field
but
goal
in
attempt.
fairness, only since 2004, in fairness. So, you know, it's not something new.
It's not a pattern.
No.
No. But I thought I was impressed with the efficiency of the Bucks this week. So I think I saw that they had 200 less yards offensively than the Falcons, but they're able to stay in the game and, you know, push Atlanta all the way and take it into overtime. So they'll be happy with that. But obviously, this game had very little defense.
Yeah.
Both defenses look very dodgy, to be honest. You're right, the Bucks were very efficient moving it down the field, but first half it literally was, you know, it was almost like watching a basketball game. It was you score, we score, you score, we score. I was watching it with my son and I said, you know, this will not happen second half. It will all tighten up and so on and so forth. And I was proven right. Second half was, you know, much more kind of what you would expect. But yeah, no, I think the Falcons are slowly starting to get there. I think Cousins is slowly trusting his Achilles a bit more. I was surprised at the lack of Bijan Robinson, to be honest. He didn't seem to be sparking the offense like you would expect him to. It was nice that Kyle Pitts was getting more involved. So yeah, I think the future's bright for Atlanta, even though they are leaving these games late, and you know, one score games are never pretty as such.
Yeah.
But I think these are both good teams. So you know, I think the second game between them down in Tampa will be just as fun to watch.
I think it's difficult for Bijan Robinson to get any kind of momentum because Kirk Cousins threw it 58 times and you're never really getting on a roll as a running back. One thing to say though is that this would have been won much easier if Darnell Mooney didn't drop the little sitter where he was completely wide open in space. If he'd have caught that, it'd have been a different story. Probably not overtime, and we'd have been saying it was a really convincing win by Atlanta. But hey ho, I mean he made up for it with a touchdown. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a shame that the overtime rules are still the way they are. That you can get a touchdown, just walk off.
Yeah.
And the Bucks don't get a chance to have a stab back at it. But there we go. And obviously, Derek Carr suffered an injury near the end. They brought in Jake Haener.
Not in this game,
series.
Seeing as we're talking about the Buccaneers and the Falcons.
Oh,
I was going to say, you confused the out of me then.
I'll get to that later.
Impressive.
Let's move on to Sunday then. And we're going to start with the AFC North matchup of the Ravens at the Bengals. Let's have another overtime game as well while we're at it. This time, the Ravens gifted a win in Cincinnati. The Bengals were in a position to win this game. 5 touchdown passes for Joe Burrow, but the curse of the frosted tips continues as he threw a pick late in the fourth, just outside the red zone. It allowed the Ravens to move into position with Justin Tucker to turn back a couple of years and kick a game-saving field goal. The Ravens then fumble the ball in overtime, only for the Bengals field goal to be misheld and bungled. Derrick Henry then breaks off a 51-yard run, and it's another Tucker winner. Final score after overtime was the Ravens 41, Bengals 38.
The biggest thing that happened in this game was Derek Carr getting injured and Jake Haener coming in. Sorry, Jim.
Another game with no defense.
Yeah.
It weren't great.
Not
from a
at all.
defensive side.
Can I just say one thing? Sorry, one of my I'll now shut up about this game. But one of my friends has Raheed Shaheed in fantasy, and when he plays him, he does nothing, and when he doesn't play him, he's brilliant. And they didn't play him this week, and he was brilliant again. So yeah, well done, because my mate is basically inspiring his career.
For Raheed Shaheed.
Yeah,
all reliant on the fantasy.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's great for this game, Dave. Um,
Oh, I am still looking at the wrong game.
yeah,
I genuinely was.
What's
Never mind.
going on this week,
Okay,
chaps?
so
I don't know.
yeah, I mean Joe Burrow must be getting. Let's get this back on track. Joe Burrow must be getting a bit exasperated with the Bengals, to be honest, because anytime you throw for nearly 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, I think it's reasonable to expect that you might be able to win the game. The Bengals defense has been absolutely atrocious this year, and I'm really not quite sure why, because they've still got players.
hmm
You know, they've still got Henriksen and
Hubbard.
yeah,
Cam Taylor Britt's
Shepard.
not bad on the back end either. I think that
Yeah,
they've just got a problem where they don't quite get the pressure through, and that allows
yeah,
other things to
you're
get through.
absolutely right. It's like they're neither quite here nor there. They're either not getting the pressure through, or they're not locking the receivers up long enough for the pressure to get through.
hmm
I thought the Ravens looked what's the word I'm looking for? Inconsistent. I think
Yes.
they really have, kind of like they have all season, to be honest, but they just seem to be starting to pull games out when, in theory, I mean, they were what, 10 points down with 5 minutes to go, something like that. So, yeah, it's a sign of a good team that they can bring themselves back, but equally, we've seen them concede and lose games 10 points down with 5 minutes to go. So, yeah, they like a lot of the teams at the minute. They just seem to be a bit up and down, and we're really getting some strange scores and results this season compared to other seasons. I know we're only a quarter of the way through, but you know, 41-38. No. This is the AFC North. It should be like 17-13. This is it. This
Yeah.
is not the football we are used to.
I
Yeah.
think it's down to a subpar Bengals defense, like you said, Punk. But the Ravens' offense looked more like it has done in the past, particularly last season when they were putting together a stretch. Lamar was showing what he's made of. One game with the addition of Henry's sort of step forwards as well, and has taken some of the running pressure off Lamar, even though he still loves to take it on himself. So there, we got to see glimpses of the world class offense they have. I think it's sort of partly down to the fact that the Bengals defense didn't turn up either and allowed them to look as good as they did. But the defense is going to be a big concern moving forward if they want to challenge. And I have them as the Super Bowl champions, but if they don't sort the defense out, then I can't see that happening because they can't keep letting this many points up and relying on Lamar and co to outscore it because it's not sustainable.
You're right. They aren't doing so many designed runs this season with Lamar that I've noticed. It's been much more give it to Henry, or if Lamar's getting yards, it's because he's having a scramble on a broken play. Bad news for the Bengals defense is that their safety Dax Hill could be done for the year with a torn ACL. It's one of the reports I saw, and he was their first round pick or second round pick just a couple of years ago. So that's a starter that is potentially out, which obviously just piles onto the woes there for the Bengals that just can't seem to get out of their own way most of the time. But yeah, to mishold the field goal to win the game, it's like you had a chance to win this game, and again you've thrown it away.
Silly errors, isn't it? It
Yeah.
seems to be with the Bengals that there's always something, whether it's a misplaced hold or a missed open receiver or just little things aren't going for them. But Burrow, I mean, there was a couple of shots that I saw of Burrow on the sidelines, and he looks like he's about ready to explode at somebody. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks if they're still not winning.
hmm
Yeah, the offense of both teams is more than good enough, but the defense needs to sharpen up.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the next game. Let's do the Bills at the Texans and talk about teams that blew a chance to win. The Bills are staring at overtime and a chance to get a big away win over an AFC contender. But stuck on their 3-yard line with 32 seconds left, the Bills call 3 pass plays that fall incomplete. The Texans get the ball back with 7 seconds left, and Akaimi Fairbairn kicks a 58-yard winner. The passes may have been off target as Josh Allen seemed to suffer a concussion with 6 minutes left after his head bounced off the turf. He was trotted back out for another 2 drives and no completions in those. Final score was the Bills 20, Texans 23.
Not sure why they put Allen back out there.
I mean, it's not
There's
even.
no way on this planet he should have been put back in there at all. There's
Chance.
I don't know if the Bills have not, been paying attention to the Dolphins the last couple of seasons, but when your quarterback has a very obvious concussion, which will very obviously be caught by every camera around the ground because he's the quarterback, you can't just take him out for one play, go, yeah, he's fine, throw him back in. I mean, the clubs themselves have to start taking responsibility for some of this player safety stuff. It can't all be around equipment and guardian caps and so on and so forth. I know you want Allen back out there, and he is your best chance to win. But honestly, this can't keep happening, and the NFL are going to seriously have to start looking at it.
But he's their best chance to win if he doesn't have a concussion.
Yeah.
With a concussion,
He
you're better
threw-
off
threw
playing
it-
anyone else.
he
Because
threw a completed
proved
pass
that
he
after.
can't see
wasn't
straight.
right.
He's
Yeah.
he sees blue and just throws.
But they're supposed to be independent adjudicators now that are on the sideline to flag this, because we know that the teams won't take, they won't be responsible. We've had so many occasions this happened. Someone should have stepped in and gone, no, you need to go to the blue medical tent, you need to stay there, and any chance of a concussion, you're out.
So I was reading an article on this, and I'm not going to pretend to know anything about it. I just know what I read.
Mhm.
And basically, the independent adjudicators come in and assess the players based on rules that are given to them by the NFL. So the NFL said, if you hit these certain markers, then we deem it to be a concussion.
Yeah.
So it's only when they hit those markers, rather than them using their own initiative and going, this guy's jacked up, he needs to come out. But even, coming off that slightly, if he was, if Josh Allen was fully fit, still run the ball.
Well,
Why
yeah.
are you passing
Oh,
it?
absolutely.
This is also true.
Beyond
Yeah.
everything else, just run the damn ball. It's
Well,
not difficult.
Sean
But yeah, he
McDermott
shouldn't have gone back in.
has been found wanting many times in his coaching career now with the
Yep.
Bills. There you go. You stick with him, boys. You stick with him.
Good win for Houston, though. I think
yeah.
one they needed, and I think a little bit of a get right game for them as well. They just looked more like the unit we saw last year, especially on offense.
Although Nico Collins did suffer an injury in this
He
game.
did.
Right at the end, he pulled his hammy, I think, on the touchdown catch that he got.
He's definitely out for week 6.
Yes, he might be in on IR.
Keon Coleman's touchdown was good, though. I enjoyed that. It's nice to see him turn up.
He's a good rookie. He's good. We're going to move on to the AFC West matchup of the Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos.
Move on.
I'm really not sure how much more.
Talking about this. No one cares.
I'm going to leave this one to
Yes,
the
Bargain
boys.
basement teams in the bottom of the AFC. No one's going to be interested in this game. I think we should just move on to, something more interesting like a Panthers game or something.
You're right. Okay. I'm really not sure how much more of this franchise I can put up with. That's it. I'm done. Absolutely pathetic. Despite
Sounds familiar.
doesn't it? Despite going up 10-0 in the first quarter, the Broncos trotted up 34 unanswered points before the Raiders could score again. That included the 100-yard pick six from Pat Surtain. Minshew was eventually benched after a second pick for Aidan O'Connell, but the late Amir Abdullah touchdown didn't really do much for the certain fan base's mood. Final score here was the Raiders 18, Broncos 34. And for anyone that didn't notice, the first two statements were ones from our own Punk Raiders Twitter account during the game.
Go check it out.
Yeah, it was. I
There's
mean,
some fun
you've
stuff
suffered
on
some
there.
losses before, Punk. This is a bit of a weird one that this hit you so hard. Was it the culmination of Adams wanting to leave?
No. It's
Minshew
nothing to do with
falling
Adam.
apart.
The reason I had the meltdown on this one was because we had the game in hand. If Gardner Minshew doesn't throw that pathetic 101-yard touchdown pass, interception, we go up 17-3, and actually from that point on, you can almost just play the game out. 14-point lead, it's going to be very difficult for the Broncos to come back on that. But what happens every time that this Raiders team seems to face adversity. They lose the touchdown, so the game comes back to 10-all instead of 17-3, and then they just melt down and they don't know what to do. They start running around like headless chickens. The quarterback can't even hit a receiver. Just shooting ourselves in the foot. bad decision making, bad play calling, inaccurate passes, receivers dropping passes, penalties, false starts. Up until that point, we were playing quite well. And then, the whole thing falls apart. And that has to be on the coaching as much as it is on the players. You know, we just can't do this every single season. And it's just getting to the point now where I'm sick of it. I'm just so sick of it. And I think there was a Charles Woodson interview over the weekend, and
Yep.
he asked the question, why aren't the Raiders allowed nice things? And I completely agree with him. I don't know why, although I've got a suspicion it might have to do with who owns us and some of the decision making that happens there. But I'm just getting fed up with this every single season. I'm not even blaming Minshew particularly, although he was absolutely dreadful. He was fine up until that Pat Surtain return.
He was 8
But
of 8.
we have a game plan against the Broncos that we've used successfully 8 games in a row. Why not just use that? You don't have to be superstar throwing 40-yard bombs down the field and this, that, and the other. And why are you panicking at 10-10? It all stems from the coaching and the ownership. And, yes, we've got a nice, lovely new stadium. But for the love of God, if anything's going to change, then it needs to be something drastic. I kind of feel like we're in that commander's loop of
Under
just
Snyder.
never being. It's kind of a cross between the Chargers and the Commanders. We're never bad enough to get a decent, proper first round quarterback pick, but we're also not good enough to actually do anything when we, play well. And consistency is a huge issue. I wouldn't be amazed if and I'm, this is unlikely to happen because Crosby's a bit of a nutcase, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season Crosby's looking to leave. Chris Wilkins, we've lost Wilkins now for the season, certainly for the next few weeks. Anyway, he's got to have an operation on his foot. It's all kind of falling apart, and it doesn't feel like anyone in the coaching staff or the front office has really got a grip on pulling it all back together and moving us forward this season. So, yeah, I might very soon be coming. Let's not say punk Raider, but punk NFL, and more neutral in my
Punk 49er.
standpoint.
Punk Niner.
Well, I keep getting
Don't
told I
do
should
that.
go for the Vikings because of the massive long beard and all the rest of it, and but we'll see.
Not sure purple
No,
suits him.
I'm just fed up with it.
And the fact you
I've,
spend most of your time shouting 4-letter words.
I've spent 20. Oh yeah, skull. I've spent 20 years now watching this same team loop round and round and round, and it's starting to grate a bit.
Mm.
Anyway, congratulations,
Dave.
Dan. Well done.
I
Your
thought
team
the
played this game, didn't it?
I thought the Broncos played very well.
You
That's
did.
all I'm going
You
to say.
did play very well.
I'd like to give us some credit. Do you know what this is like? This is like, I'm a Nottingham Forest fan. It's like
Defense was
when we
phenomenal.
beat Liverpool and you watch Match of the Day and the
Come to
commentators
Liverpool.
spend 20 minutes saying how Liverpool played. You're like, we did play in this game. Can we have a little bit of credit, please? That's
You
what
can,
this
but
is.
that's not what the people tuned in for at this moment
Yeah.
in time.
It is a little bit.
We came for the drama.
And boy, you got it.
Yes.
No, I think our defense is very, very good. We blitz more than anyone else in the league because we effectively go 5-on-5. And if we sneak a man through the back and go 6-on-5,
Hey, phrasing!
maths wins, and there's always going to be a free man. And it happened time and time again. And we can afford to do that because we've got Pat Surtain at the back. So it's very interesting the way that we play. And Justin Chenard moving from safety to linebacker. What a game he had, by the way. So, yeah, I think we did really, really well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to the Cardinals at the 49ers. I said it in the Week 5 preview pod. The Niners have not won a game where they've been properly tested yet. Despite being up by 13 points somehow at halftime, the Cardinals weren't going away like they did last week against Washington. There was an Elijah Higgins touchdown with James Conner 2-point conversion. Then a field goal as the Niners choked out the second half. Their series, pick, turnover on downs, a fumble by Jordan Mason at the Cardinals' 8-yard line, another pick when they needed just a field goal to win. The final score was the Cardinals 24, 49ers 23.
This is on coaching. That's what this is on. it was consistent wrong decisions being made. And I never thought I'd say this, but Arizona outcoached the 49ers. Gannon's
With Jonathan
proven
Gannon.
himself. I know, no, but Gannon's proven himself to actually be like a really good head coach in a weird kind of a way. It's just at critical moments, the 49ers are doing what the 49ers are always seeming to do at the moment, just making the wrong choices consistently.
They
think the
did that Raider
49ers
thing of taking their foot off the gas, thinking
Oh,
they
stop
were
talking about the Raiders.
free and
Oh,
clear.
you don't even support them anymore.
No, that's true. But no, the 49ers do what a lot of teams do. There you go. I won't even equate it to the Raiders. Do what a lot of teams do. And, 23-10 up at halftime, thought, it's fine. We only need another couple of field goals and we'll cruise it. And then what happened was, like you said, Jim, the Cardinals never went away. They never stopped.
No.
Washington just kept their foot on it and just kept piling points and so on and so forth. And eventually the Cardinals just kind of wilted. Whereas the Niners just, I don't know, went into the shell of themselves and decided, well, that'll do. That's the job done. And again, you're right, Dave. It comes down to coaching. It's it's not good when that starts happening though, because
I
they
partially
get it in their
agree
head
with
that they
you.
can do it all the time.
I partially agree with you that this is similar to the Raiders, but not for the way that you say. I think it's similar for the Raiders in the fact that they didn't do the right thing at the right time. So Jordan Mason was having so much success and they just stopped giving him the ball. He should have rushed 40 times in this game because he was
Yeah.
consistently getting second and short,
Yeah.
converting second downs, short and thirds.
Yeah, I wasn't equating it to the Raiders Broncos game. I was
No,
equating it to
just generally. I know.
Let's
Talking
not.
generally.
bring that back up. Yeah.
No, but the Cardinals did the exact opposite. Did the right thing, especially in the second half, the right thing at the right time. And although it was only won by a point, the gap was like the biggest point we've seen.
And Murray made some excellent decisions when to run, when to pass. Just game decisions.
I
His
think the
decision making
Cards,
this season has been spot on most of the time.
they just for once played sensible.
Yeah.
Like we've seen what they've got on offense, and they can make big plays, but it's always been the defense that has let them down, and sort of the frailties that they show, especially when push comes to shove. They seem to always sort of collapse. But in this game, they stayed firm. I mean, they limited the Niners to one touchdown from 6 red zone visits. So that for them is huge. I also think that the Niners are underestimating the hole that has been left by McCaffrey, because we saw it so many times last season when he'd be there at the right moments to make the plays, but then he'd also create plays out of nothing and gain you 40, 50 yards when you didn't expect it. And they don't have that sort of play at the moment. And particularly, when it gets to the business end, when they need to deliver and actually have an end result and getting in the end zone, I think they're really struggling. I don't think they estimated the hole that was left.
He's more than just a running back, isn't he?
Yeah.
He makes everything work.
He's all thing to all's men.
I mean, just one positive for the 49ers was that they did get Brandon Ayuk involved for pretty much the first time this season. So
a couple of big plays, but it wasn't a job load.
Well, he got 150 odd yards. So
yeah, but they were on a couple of big old chunk plays.
Yeah, but that's what you need from him. You've got Debo and Kittle and all the rest of them to take the short plays. So yeah, I mean, you are right. They do miss McCaffrey a lot.
Yeah,
just for those little swing passes, if nothing else, that he then takes for 30 yards. But I think previous games this season, Ayuk's pretty much just been stood on the outside doing nothing. He might as well have been, picking his nose and making a cup of tea. But
yeah,
I think from their point of view, they've realised they need to have him involved in the offense. So we'll see how they look this week. But if Fred Warner's injured now, which it looks like he might be,
that's massive.
It could be a huge loss for them, this one.
There's two things I want to say last on this game. Nick Bosa, I got the right Bosa, didn't I? Nick Bosa basically had a pop at his defensive coordinator in one of the post-game interviews, and that's not something that you normally see with the 49ers. Normally it's
No.
unity and strength, and that wasn't there. And it's basically saying we have to be better, we have to scheme better, we have to be blah blah blah. So when that's happening with if that happens at the Jets, okay, same will happen on Monday, same will happen on Tuesday. It happens every day. But when it's happening with the 49ers, it's different. You don't normally see that. The second thing is Buda Baker needs to be a first or second team All Pro if he carries on what he's doing this season, because he's been incredible, like seriously good. I don't know how he's still at Arizona. He must just love the area, but yeah, he's been incredible this season.
I was on the preempt Punk's power plays, but that third down conversion for Kyler near the end when he was like running backwards, and it was almost like a screen where there's no protection, and just launched the ball upfield, and Marvin Harrison came down with it was pretty special. I think that was
No, you're fine. You can talk about it.
Well, I've just mentioned it. Go and find it if you can, because that was a great play. If you watch on patreon.com/finaldown, then I might have found the play for you and actually show it at the time. So let's move on to the next game. Let's do the AFC South game with the Colts at the Jags. And Jacksonville get a win, so there are no more winless teams in the NFL this season. The Jags finally went toe-to-toe with the team on offense. There were 8 touchdowns in this one as Joe Flacco and Trevor Lawrence sprayed it around. Jags rookie receiver Brian Thomas Jr. had an 85-yard touchdown, clocking at 22 miles an hour. There were 2 touchdowns for running back Tank Bigsby. The Colts overturned a 2-score deficit, but a late touchdown to Brenton Strange sealed the win and the end of a 9-game losing streak for the Jags. The final score was the Colts 34, Jacksonville 37.
Jags actually won.
Yeah.
Wow.
9-game losing streak.
9-game losing streak going back into last season, obviously.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But finally a good game on offense for the Jags.
I mean, it took them beating the Colts, who are missing their first-star quarterback and their first-star running back. And I think DeForest Buckner, is he still out? I can't remember
DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, so they're losing their 3 premier pieces.
But a win's a win.
Win's a win. Win's a win.
Win is a win.
Brian Thomas looks incredible. Alec Pierce, wow.
He only does big catches, doesn't he?
He only does big catches, and they're all clumped together because he was brilliant for 1 minute, and then he disappeared for the rest of the game.
He had 3 catches for over 100 yards, I think.
Yeah, 3 catches for 134 yards and a touchdown, but all of them were within about 20 seconds of each other. It was literally Alec Pierce, gone.
Done.
Just disappeared. That was it.
And his paycheck and off he goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice to see that all teams, including the Jags and the Panthers, have got at least 1 win in this league. We'll move on though, because I guess there wasn't much to talk about in the game. We're going to do the Cowboys at the Steelers. It ran into Monday morning thanks to a lightning storm, and I put off writing this piece until about 10 minutes before we started recording this as well. But the Steelers took a frustrating loss at home to the Cowboys on Sunday night. The game was right in the balance for the majority of the game as both teams made mistakes. Dak Prescott had 2 interceptions and a fumble. A field goal got blocked by the Steelers special teams too. But the Cowboys were able to move the ball much more easy than the Steelers. Completing 9 of 15 third downs was just too much to overcome. The Cowboys get out of PA with a last-minute win, and the final score was the Cowboys 20, Steelers 17.
Steelers should have won this game.
I have to admit, I've not seen any of this game, so I've no idea.
Steelers should have won. Cowboys stole it. Absolutely stole this game. There's so many times they were lucky.
Yeah,
like, really, really were.
It was a frustrating game. That's all I'm going to say.
No,
I've tried
you've got to give us more than that.
Well, okay.
You've got to match at least what Punk said about the Raiders.
Okay, I mean, well, if you go on to Steelers Twitter, then the sky is falling in. Everything is wrong. You know, anytime we get a loss, it's always fire Tomlin. You get there's a whole group of them that just go on about it all the time. That's what they would talk about. There were definitely problems with the Steelers. They were pretty expansive in the first quarter as well. You know, I think everything seemed to be working. Was doing okay. We were keeping up score with them. We were in the lead for the majority of the game as well. But there were just so many drops. I think there were 10 drops across the Steelers offense in the passing. You know, so Justin was getting it in the area, but they were just dropping the ball and they were just making silly mistakes.
And there were so many times when a Steelers player would either receive the ball on the turn and get hit by a Cowboys man, or would be running through. And if that man was beaten, touchdown. Like clear open goal behind them.
Yeah.
But every single time the player was brought down, and I haven't seen the Cowboys tackle that successfully in the last decade. And Mike Zimmer defense actually stepping up. Who knew?
Yeah.
But it was just, and also there was silly, stupid plays for the Cowboys that were working. I mean, they got 445 offensive yards. This is the worst team I've ever seen play and get over 440 yards. It's incredible. They
Yeah.
were not good. They're not a good team. But statistically, you're looking to go 9 of 15 on third down, 414 yards, and won the game. Oh, we were brilliant. They weren't. They were trash.
So was it the Steelers' defense?
Steelers lost this game. Steelers lost it, without a doubt.
We've had some problems with injuries, and so our corners aren't great. We haven't got, we're pretty thin at corner anyway.
Yeah.
But we had an undrafted free agent in Beanie Bishop who was just exposed in this game. I mean, there were some times when he was lined up against CD. Yeah, the same as CD Lamb is a real name as well. He was lined up against CD Lamb, and you're like, oh no, what is going on here? Because there's no way he's not getting targeted now.
Hang on, so Beanie Bishop against CD Lamb. This is the porn league. That's what
it's the 1920s. Beanie Bishop, CD Lamb. Yeah, it's unfortunate. He's been, you need to kind of cover his inefficiencies because he is good at some things, but he's not an all pro bloody corner. He can't go up against CD Lamb and expect to come out on top very often.
I was talking to one of my friends, my wife's friend's husbands, and he's a Dallas fan, and I was saying,
you made sure to say it wasn't your friend there, Dave.
No, he's not. He's a nice guy.
He's not my friend.
He's not my friend.
Definitely not mine.
And I was saying that the Cowboys were lucky and that they're rubbish. He went, yeah, but you're biased. I went, yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to deny it. I don't like Dallas. I am biased. Exactly. What's wrong with that? But yeah, they weren't good.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, we were only 1.5 point favourites, I think, in this game. It's so frustrating that we didn't get this win because I really thought we might get it.
We didn't deserve it, in fairness.
No one deserved that win after that. No one deserved it for that performance. We're going to move on, though. We're going to do the Giants at the Seahawks. And no one saw this coming.
Move on. I don't think we need. Let's go back, shall we?
Let's carry on.
No, I don't think we should.
But the lowly Giants, without Malik Neighbors, went all the way to Seattle and got a clear win over the Seahawks. It still doesn't make sense to me. This game started with the Giants fumbling in the end zone and Rayshon Jenkins taking 102 yards back for a Seahawks touchdown. But a Darius Slayton touchdown plus a couple of field goals for New York had the Giants up by 2 with a minute to go. The Seahawks just needed to kick their 34-yard field goal to take the lead. But the kick was blocked, scooped, and up by the defense, and the game was over. Final score, Giants 29, Seahawks 20. And before Finn gets into it, no one in our group picked the Giants, obviously, to beat the Seahawks here.
5. That's the number of accumulators this game ruined of mine. 5. I would have won so much money.
A bookie's dream, they call this.
Mine.
Do you know the worst thing? The worst thing was it didn't even add much to the accumulator. It wasn't as though it was like, I'll add this because it will net me millions. No. I would have won so much money. My son has not eaten in 3 days because of this game.
He's crying in the bedroom.
Still my fault.
Oh dear. Come on, Finn.
This was just a nothing game.
What do you mean?
Well, for us,
you had a win in your hands. You had it there. It was right there in the palm.
Yeah, but we even getting to that point, we made it difficult.
Well, you did, yeah.
I don't know why. There's across the season, the times we've played well is when we've got the run game working. So I don't know why we don't still try and run the ball. I mean, we had 11 carries for 100 odd yards, and 70 of which were for Geno. So, I mean, what the hell is going on there? Tracy had 18 carries himself for 130 odd yards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, defensively, we couldn't stop that. And we just looked fragile across the whole defense, which is weird because it's been our strongest part this season. Obviously, with new head coach being more defensively minded, that was always going to, and the way we went in the draft, it was always going to be a step up. But this just it seemed like they forgot how to play. Offensively, yeah, why we're not running the ball. I mean, the thing is, we've seen what Gino can do with his arm. I don't know where he is at the moment, but he was leading the passing yards last week.
Nah.
And, you know,
23rd now. No, he's still leading. I'm joking.
Still leading.
Yeah.
So we know what he's doing. And the receiving core that we've got can make plays happen, but we just need to balance the offense. And our OC Ryan Grubbs come out today and said, you know, that's on me. I know it needs to be balanced. And the thing I saw as well, which is quite concerning if they need any more evidence, is we're last in the NFL for rush attempts.
Ooh.
Yeah, 7th in yards per carry and tied 3rd for rushing touchdowns. So how we're not looking at those and going, oh, actually, when we run the ball, we're pretty effective. Maybe we should run the ball a bit more. I have no idea.
Well, we're not NFL coaches, obviously, Finn. So we don't see the intricacies that they.
No, but it seems like we have more sense most weeks than a lot of the NFL coaches.
This is some high class feedback we're getting here, because I was expecting you to just go, well, they clearly cheated on the field goal because they pushed your centre down into the dirt and then jumped over him.
I don't like to go down that route.
No,
I like to go down a more positive route where we can actually
very constructive,
where we can.
You tell your
forward.
team hasn't been that bad for that long.
Exactly. Yeah, you've never had it so good.
It's only a foul if it gets called, and if it's the Chiefs, it's always a foul. We know this.
Oh man, that should have been called though, right?
The one thing I'd say is anyone who spends their off season watching the NFL Combine, what an absolute waste of time. Because I started watching this game and they said, "Oh, Tyrone Tracy," and I went, "Who?" The running back for the Giants, and I was like, I've never heard of him. So I went and had a quick look on sort of Wikipedia and had a look and went, oh, Purdue. Okay, that's why I haven't seen him. He was a 5th round pick. Don't know much about him. And I'm like, he must be like a 4-3, 4-2 guy. No, 4-4-8. I'm like, okay, so just ignore everything.
A 5th rounder,
yeah, absolutely, completely ignore him. His 3-cone drill was terrible. He changes direction like a wasp. Ignore the combine. It's rubbish. He looks like a really good little player.
Yeah,
but it is only one game.
It's one game, and Singletary's coming back, isn't he? So
yeah, but he's taking his chance, and you got to say well done to him because he looks really good. He was a wide receiver.
I'd be amazed if he doesn't get a few more touches from not Montgomery, Singletary now. I think he's kind of proven that they can have a dual threat running game. And let's be honest, with Daniel Jones at quarterback, they need to run the ball a lot more.
Yeah. But apparently he started off as a wide receiver before switching to running back for Purdue. So it was only at Purdue that he actually turned to running back. So he's still new at the position. But it looks promising.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the Packers at the Rams. And despite at one point going full Will Levis, Jordan Love and the Packers managed to come back and win the game in LA against the Rams. Rather than just throwing a ball out of bounds just before halftime, Jordan Love thought it was better to not take a sack and side-launched it straight to Rams undrafted free agent safety Jalen McCullough, who ran it back in the 8-odd yards for a touchdown. But the Rams messed up in the third quarter with a fumble by Kyren Williams, then a pick of Matt Stafford, both turning into Green Bay touchdowns. Rams had one more drive, but it fizzled out, and the final score was the Packers 24, Rams 19.
This did make the weekend a little bit sweeter.
Did it?
Yeah. Well, to a degree. I mean, we could have extended if we played properly, but anyway, enough about that.
I got not a lot to say. Rams
are really missing.
Everything.
We said it last week.
All their receivers,
all the receivers, and they're going to struggle until they get them back. And until they do, I don't see them winning.
Especially if Kyren Williams is going to fumble the ball as well. He is the fulcrum of the offense, and he can't afford to mess up.
Well, he has to be, doesn't he? With no one else there, it's
Jordan Whittington
and nobody else. So
Jordan Whittington is
not going to win you games. Let's be honest.
No. Yeah, they got Jordan Whittington, who's a Texas Longhorn, who's I think in his first or second year. For Atwell, who's not a number one receiver, and as you say, when Kyren Williams is doing what he's doing, it's not a recipe for success. They need a get right game when everyone comes back. That's all they need. They just need to keep in the playoff hunt. Hope everyone comes back and hits the ground running. That's their only hope.
But they did this last season. Going into the bye, they were struggling, and then they put on a good run towards the back end of the season. They sneak into the playoffs. So let's hope they don't do it again.
Yeah, Whittington was a 6th round compensatory pick, so
yeah,
he's now one of the top receivers there just through necessity. We're going to go on to the Browns at the Commanders. One team looked great because of their quarterback. The other looked the opposite because of their quarterback. Jayden Daniels is continuing his campaign for Rookie of the Year as he torched the Browns defense for over 300 total yards himself. There was a touchdown catch for Dyami Brown and rushing touchdowns for Jeremy McNichols and 2 for Brian Robinson Jr. Jameis Winston did come in for the final Browns drive after Deshaun Watson had got a garbage time pass to Jordan Akins, but Kevin Stefanski is not allowed to bench Watson moving forwards, and the final score was the Browns 13, Commanders 34.
Lovely day out for the Commanders.
I want to talk about something other than this game, but still related to it. So I'll hand over to everyone else. Commanders look amazing, though. Look really, really good.
Yeah, they do. They look immensely good. I think it'll be interesting to see when they come up against some better defenses, how Jayden Daniel copes with that.
Supposed to be a very good defense, the Browns.
Yeah.
No. The Browns are a dumpster fire.
Defensive player of the year.
They're you can say the Browns have got a good defense. They haven't. They've got good personnel on defense, but their scheme and their actual play does not equate to what they have on paper.
It's like when QPR signed loads of really, really good players and still got relegated.
Football analogy.
Yeah,
on paper they look really good, but actually on the field they're rubbish.
Exactly that. No, I'm in love with Washington at the minute. I think they are really fun team to watch.
Could be your new team.
They do have a they could. No, I shall be. I told you, NFL neutral. I will not have a team.
Was that picture of Rob Lowe with an NFL?
No, we'll call him non-binary Raider from now on because he just doesn't support any team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but no, the only problem I can foresee with Washington really is on the defensive side. In they do struggle with the run game. They can be picked apart occasionally. I think Joe Burrow kind of showed that a little bit when they played the Bengals the other week. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how far they can go this season because they are certainly a fun team to watch.
For me, it's the best defense is a good offense for Washington, and the fact they can keep the offense on the field, and there's going to be a scoring drive almost every single time, gives the defense that rest. It's what we always strive for in Pittsburgh is just please give the defense a rest. They can be great if you just let them rest. And although the Washington defense isn't brilliant, if they get lots of rest, they can at least be a bit more active when they're on the field.
Right.
And they don't have to stop them every time because they scored, but we're going to score back. So the pressure then gets taken off that defense, and they can start to finally. There's some great players. Mike Samer still, Dave, one of our boys from the draft. He's there. They have got some good players. Bobby Wagner, obviously, he's trying to end his career on a high. He's looking good. Sorry, Finn. I just think
salt in the wounds.
That offense is supercharged now, and it allows that defense to be covered up
and Jonathan Allen, who's one of my favorite.
Yeah, Daron Payne as well. Love some of the guys on that line.
Darren Payne. The one thing I want to mention is all of these ghost accounts that are attributed to Deshaun Watson. So anyone who doesn't know,
his burner. Yeah,
there's loads of accounts that are cropping up. And they're basically just throwing stuff out there about how great he is, and they all use similar words that he's been using, and blah blah blah. There's been loads and loads of this. Anyway, there's a new one. Did you know any about this? Do you know about this, Jim?
Well, no, I think we found Deshaun's actual burner, but it might be old Jimmy Haslam bot accounts, maybe.
Oh no, there's 2 or 3 of them that have been attributed to Deshaun Watson or friends of Deshaun Watson, and one of them in particular is talking about how great Deshaun Watson would be at the Steelers, and I am not making this up. I'm genuinely not making this up.
I think that would be something that I'd like to see.
I'd pay money to see that.
I think we make it happen.
The Steelers trade 3 first-round picks and swallow his contract.
Yeah, that'll happen.
No, that's going to be your MO from now on. You're going to pay him £1 million and take him, and that's just what you do from now on. You take on quarterbacks who are and give him take over the contract and just give him £1 million. That's all you do. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, who next? No, I think Browns have got real problems. I think the non-binary one said it exactly right. They're a dumpster fire. Everything's going wrong. Everything.
Long may it continue. I mean, it is
Yep.
the factory of sadness, and they absolutely deserve it for what they did with this contract. So let's move on to the Jets at the Vikings. Oh, obviously, in air quotes there. It's a bit of a tradition for a team to sack a coach after a London loss, and the Jets were in the mood to use it as an excuse to finally let Robert Saleh go. The first-time head coach hasn't had a ton of success in New York, but the limp performance again was the final straw. The Jets looked hopeless on offense for large parts of this game against the unbeaten Minnesota Vikings. A pick six, or Rip Van Ginkel, if you will, got the Vikings out to 10 points in the first quarter. A pick on the next Jets drive went unpunished, but the third ended up any chance of the Jets getting back into this game. The final score was the Jets 17, Vikings 23.
I'm going to be honest. I bailed on this game when it was like 17-0 and just went, I'm not watching this. So I came back and watched like the last 3 minutes of it when the Vikings won the game. But yeah, I didn't see anything in between because I've got no interest in watching the Jets.
It must
pretty
be
much didn't miss
frustrating.
anything, to be
No.
honest. Yeah, everything you would have seen up to that point pretty much continued.
I was surprised that the Jets even got remotely close back into it because it looked as though it was going to be, we've all seen those games in London where it's 44-3 or something like that, and it's just an absolute rout. I thought it was going to be one of those again. And the wife did say, are we really going to sit here watching a game from sort of 2:30 in the afternoon and you're going to watch the NFL all the way up until 1 a.m.? And I thought, all right, I'll let you
Fair
watch an
enough.
episode of
That's the
Midsummer
good
Madness
thing
or
about it.
something.
Come on, that's the good thing about the London game.
Yeah.
12 hours plus.
They did get everyone the score.
Yeah, look, the reason the Vikings didn't run away with it is because the Jets' defense, and Darnold was struggling to hit his receivers. Whether that was down to excellent Jets defense or just the Vikings being a bit off with it being a London game, probably a little bit of both, if I'm honest. Jets' offense was woeful. I mean, why they're not running the ball, I don't
They
know.
can't.
Well, yeah, but you have to try. We can't run the ball, but you still try. You've still got to plow ahead for 3 yards at least once in a while,
If Breece Hall didn't have the promising reputation that he had coming into the season, he'd be benched by now because he's been crap. I mean, his offensive line's not helping him, but he's not been good. He's offered them nothing. It's like when Le'Veon Bell went to the Jets. You looked and went, he's a shadow of himself. He just wasn't.
Well, the line wasn't there for him. It was the line that helped Le'Veon so much.
Yeah.
And it's similar now, the line is not good. They can't protect Rodgers and keep him upright. And of course, he's not as mobile as he once was. So that's, it doesn't help that their receivers are dropping balls that they should be catching as well. It's just all very disjointed for the Jets at the minute. And who knows, maybe sacking the coach and fresh start with Coach Aaron at the helm will be exactly what they want. But
/GM. Yeah.
/GM.
I was going to say, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How ludicrous is it that they got rid of Saleh? It is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean,
really
he
is.
hadn't.
I mean, I can't
done
comment
much
because we've
as a head coach.
sacked coaches on the way back from London before. So
You have. Dennis Allen.
Yeah.
Deserved it.
Yeah, but we did it on the plane.
Yeah, you still haven't got on the plane. Well,
Did you
they let him get
escort
back
him
home.
immediately off the plane? Just right out,
Yeah,
out the door, off your part.
I mean, that's the one bit. At least if he was on the plane, he could say goodbye to everyone because they're all in a confined space. But
that's really shit. It's really classless.
Yeah, that seemed a bit strange that they just marched into his office, sacked him, and marched him out.
Straight out.
Something's obviously gone on.
It's his first time as a head coach, right? And he hadn't put up any trees. He's obviously got a good reputation as a defensive coordinator at the Niners as they got to the Super Bowl. But he just didn't really replicate. I mean, the defense has been good for the Jets, but they weren't winning games.
Keeps them in it.
But they weren't winning games. It's
Jim,
okay. It's okay, but you've got to win games.
But Jim, let's go back to what you said a minute ago. The defense can be good. The defense can be good if the offense let them.
Yeah.
And the offense has not let them.
No.
It's been 3 and out, and they're back on the field, and they're back on the field, and it's non-stop.
Which is why you should get snapped up as a defensive coordinator again.
Yes.
I always got the feeling with Saleh that he was too nice to his players.
Yeah.
And he let them do whatever they wanted to do, pretty much. You never really saw him chewing anyone out or calling anyone for having a bad game. And, sometimes I think some players do need that rocket up the backside to, really get them going. But
And
I
they've got
just
that
never
in
saw it.
Rodgers,
He
though.
just always came across as a nice guy.
I mean, he had Zach Wilson as his quarterback when he came in.
Well, that
He's
doesn't
not been
help
given a
either,
good
does it?
hand, and obviously as a defensive guy, doesn't know how to handle that side of the ball. So the people he brought in weren't good enough. I mean, if the owners brought in Nathaniel Hackett to get Aaron Rodgers to come across, everyone knows Nathaniel Hackett is an absolute fraud.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
So,
That's the
Aaron
thing.
Rodgers can come on to Pat McAfee and say what he likes about, oh, I didn't know anything about it. Oh, little babes in the wood routine. But
Rubbish.
there's no way the owner wouldn't have spoken to Aaron Rodgers before making that kind of decision.
If you're a defensive coach, you have some level of input on what you want the offense to do, whether you want it to be a spread or however you want it to play. But ultimately, you just want to be able to trust your coordinator and go, right, offense is yours, crack on. You can't do that with Nathaniel Hackett because he's an idiot. So by definition, you will get blamed for the offense because you have to be. It's
Well,
it's a shame.
it's Aaron Rodgers making the calls. That's what the Jets
Absolutely.
wanted. They made that deal, so they're gonna have to live with it.
We'll get injured soon, though, so then we'll actually be able to do it from the office.
Yeah. You know who's going to be the new head coach? McAfee. That's who it's going to be.
Only the Raiders have put a personality into the GM or head coach position. Don't worry.
Salt thrown.
That's true. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the AFC East and the Dolphins at the Patriots. And when is a touchdown not a touchdown? I guess I'm not sure anymore, as the Patriots were robbed of a first home win this season against the battered Dolphins. It was a low-scoring affair, surprisingly, but when rookie receiver Jalen Polk got both sets of toes in the end zone with a minute to go in the game, it sure looked like a touchdown to me. The only official touchdowns came on the ground, one for supposedly benched Patriot Ramondre Stevenson and one for Dolphins fullback Alec Ingold. Burn this game after watching. Final score was the Dolphins 15, Patriots 10.
I'm not talking about this game. I'm off.
I have nothing to say on this game.
Uninspiring.
Well, of course, it was uninspiring, but I don't understand how that wasn't a touchdown for Jalen Polk at the end of it. I mean, I bet on the Patriots.
On the white. No, I agree with you. I think it should have been a touchdown. It looked like a touchdown. I'm not quite sure what everyone else was looking at, but they didn't give it. Move on.
But he was facing. If you're facing the other way around, and you got two toes in and you fall out, that's allowed.
Yeah,
because he was facing backwards. He got both sets of toes down, and that wasn't. Oh, Jesus Christ.
It doesn't quite make sense, but maybe it was a brown envelope.
I won't agree with that ever.
Game.
What's a catch? What isn't a catch? Who knows? It's the NFL.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on, but I'm so stupid. To the Bears. Oh, sorry, the Panthers at the Bears. The Bears continue to look not terrible, while a little of the Dalton shine has rubbed off in Carolina. The Panthers couldn't keep up as the Bears stuck on 20 points in the second quarter. Caleb Williams had a clean game and hit DJ Moore for 2 touchdowns in the air. Roschon Johnson got 2 on the ground. DeAndre Swift got 1. We also got to see Bryce Young for the final drive, and mercifully, he didn't make any big mistakes. The final score, though, was the Panthers 10, Bears 36.
This is better from the Bears.
Yeah, much better from the Bears.
And yes, it's against the Panthers, but they're taking the ball and running it. So Caleb Williams doesn't have to throw it every single time he's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw the benefit it had because not only were they able to get down the field far more efficiently, but also when Williams was throwing it, he was far more accurate, particularly with the deep balls.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually able to, get it where he wanted because he saved his arm for those moments as opposed to throwing it every single time he's out there. So good to see the Bears taking the load off of his shoulders and getting the run game involved. They just need to keep that sort of balance moving forward. And obviously there's going to be tougher tests than the Panthers, but if they keep that formula, then they should be in a lot of games.
Cool. Anyone got anything else to say about the game? Because I think Finn's pretty much summed that up.
I think Finn summed it up really well. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the balance they had, it was 30-odd passes to 30-odd runs. So, although none of the averages are anything to write home about in the runs, they stuck with it, and that obviously allowed Caleb to get his first 300-yard passing game and a couple of touchdowns. So, yeah, Bears seem to be getting on the right path now, which is good.
We've got one more game to go, and that was the Monday night game of the Saints at the Chiefs. And the Chiefs go and get another win, stay undefeated. Choking the life out of the Saints. Derek Carr is officially on pumpkin watch after looking like his old Raiders self. Apart from a touchdown lob to Rashid Shaheed, there wasn't much to write home about as the Chiefs' defense continued to get it done. On the other side, the Saints' defense was incredibly soft. There were acres of space around Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster, who combined for more air yards than the Saints managed themselves. Kareem Hunt was rolling back the years for the Chiefs on the ground, with more rushing yards than the Saints. Hunt looked always able to pick up a first down by falling forwards, and Juju looked great apart from the one catch that coughed up on the goal line and was picked off by ex-Chief Colin Saunders. This wasn't as close as the scoreline suggests. The final score was the Saints 13, Chiefs 26.
I didn't watch this.
I'm not surprised you didn't watch it, Dave.
No, I went onto YouTube to watch the highlights of it and accidentally saw the score, and I went, "Oh, I'm not watching that."
I said it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those games where the Chiefs never looked in trouble. The fact that Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown, I suppose, is quite interesting. But yeah, it's not very often he'll throw for 300 odd yards and no touchdowns. But the defense, KC is all about the defense at the minute. Until they start getting some receivers back or doing something different on offense, they're going to rely on that defense, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, it was unfortunately predictable for most of us, anyway. So those were the 14 games. Before we get out of here, we need to do some power plays, I think, Punk. If you were able to do that, I know that it was an emotional weekend for you, but have we got any power plays?
I know which ones should
Let's keep bringing it up, shall we?
You can bring it up as much as you like. It's over 24 hours ago now. You're allowed the high or the low for 24 hours, and then it's back to work.
That's not true.
Right, honorary mentions first. Couple of blocked field goals to mention. So Diomedor Noir, whose name I can never say, for the 49ers, and Bryce Ford Wheaton's block return for a touchdown for the Giants. Sorry, Finn. They're both on the honorable mention list. Tank Bigsby's third quarter run to put the Jags up 20-10. That was a bit of a trucking the defender, bouncing off people type run. That's worth looking at. And the Vikings' Stephon Gilmore interception with 44 seconds left to stop the Jets' comeback. That was a good little interception as well to seal the game. So, on to the power plays themselves. There's 10 minutes 58 remaining in the half, and you've just conceded your second touchdown in 2 drives. You need to try and keep up with the opposing offense. A good kick return will certainly help with that, and Sean Tucker delivered for the Bucks. Catching the ball on the right side of the field, he takes off. He meets his first opponent just past the 20 and blows past them. He gets hit at the 26, and the defender bounces off as if he was made of jello. At the 29-yard line, he trucks the tackler and now has room. Bursting forward, he breaks another couple of tackles before being brought down at the Falcons' 45. That was in that Thursday night game. It was at that point that the Falcons looked like they might start to pull away from the Bucks, as the Bucks had only managed a field goal and a touchdown. But no, that kick return from Sean Tucker, well worth a watch. Especially for the players bouncing off him. Next one. Your defense is making a goal line stand and have reduced the opposition to 4th and goal from the 1. The running back takes the handoff and goes to jump over his right tackle to the end zone. He meets an immovable wall, so puts in a second effort to push over the line. However, during the melee, the ball squirms from his grasp and ends up at the feet of Rayshon Jenkins, who picks it up and scrambles away from confused-looking New York Giants offense to go 102 yards for the touchdown and the opening score of the game. I loved that. Everyone was looking around going, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? And only the running back at the bottom of the pile and Rayshon Jenkins knew actually where the ball was. And at that point, Jenkins was at the 50-yard line. So Yeah, I thought it was a great start to the game for the Seahawks. I thought they'd go on and win it,
There was still so
but
much hope at that point
yeah,
and
yeah,
excitement.
it turned into a bit of a nightmare.
I didn't
Just a bit.
believe that was going to get upheld when I saw it first
No,
time.
I
thought
didn't
he
initially. I thought he
must have
must
touched the
have got
ground.
it over.
I
And
don't
even
think
after
anyone did.
I watched a couple of replays going, surely it did, but it wasn't. The ref called it on
Didn't
the
see it.
field, and there
Yeah.
was nothing specific overturning it. So yeah, well played, good play.
The refs got their own back later on in that game.
Absolutely, they did. Evened it up.
Yep.
Right. In a back and forth divisional battle, you really can't afford any mistakes. So when they happen, you may need an MVP to clean them up. Down by 10 and with only 5:37 remaining in the game, the Ravens have driven down to the Bengals' 7-yard line. The snap comes and Lamar drops it in a not very MVP fashion. Scrambling to pick it up before the rush gets to him, he breaks out to the right and has Sam Hubbard breathing down his neck. Stiff arming the big defensive end twice and actually pushing him to the ground, Lamar's running out of space with another defender and the sideline looming large. He doesn't have time to get himself set and flings the ball towards the end zone, where Isaiah Likely rises like a salmon to snag the ball and pull the Ravens within 3 points of the Bengals. Really, this is in there for a couple of things. So it's Lamar's presence of mind to A, pick up the ball and keep the play alive. And then also the fact that he was strong enough to throw the ball without a base across his body towards the middle of the end zone, which, to be honest, looked like it was going to be intercepted.
You're told not to do that.
He kind of arrived from nowhere to actually pull it in.
To
And
be
I swear
fair though,
that touchdown probably did more for the Ravens winning that game than the field goal they got afterwards.
he was aiming for Zay Flowers. Just saying.
Maybe. I'm not quite sure where he was aiming for.
There's a goal line cam. I don't know if
play.
you've seen it, which when he threw the ball, it didn't track the ball. It followed Sam Hubbard, who basically fell to his knees on the sidelines, like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah. And to be fair, he'd done well to get back up.
Yeah.
Lamar had stiff armed him twice straight into the ground. So
With his weaker arm as well.
with his weaker arm, yeah.
I better use my strong hand.
When you're down 16-7 and the opposition are knocking at the door, you really need a play. Step forward your 324-pound defensive tackle, Carleen Sanders.
Carlin
Sanders.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. He's going to get a huge sack. Sorry, what?
No.
He didn't get a sack. An interception. Really? Interesting. Surely he didn't one-hand it. Oh, he did. A one-hand interception in the end zone. Well, in that case, surely he's going to kneel down for a touchback. Oh, no. No. What a lunatic this boy is. Instead of taking that touchback, he goes, I'm having my moment of glory. He one-hands the grab after the ball is deflected and sets off on his rumble, hitting a top speed of 15.79 miles an hour during his 36-yard interception return against the Chiefs. This makes it the third fastest speed achieved by a ball carrier over 320 pounds since 2016. What a beast.
It's a ridiculous stat.
That's a great
ridiculous stat, but it was a ridiculous play, so it deserved a ridiculous.
How far did he get at the end zone?
It was about 38.
yards.
Yeah.
36 yards.
Jesus.
He had a decent return on it. It wasn't because you saw it happen, and it was like, no, just kneel down. What are you doing? He get tackled at the 2 or something.
It was personal for Sanders.
He just rumbled and rumbled and rumbled.
He's got to be in the contract year.
Well, he's the next chief. He was a 3rd-round pick, I think, for them.
Ugh. Hate
So
it.
they let him go. They let him go.
Ugh.
And
Chief.
finally, Pat Surtain got a 101-yard pick 6 to completely turn.
Yay! That had to be a power play, in fairness.
Oh dear.
If you think I was writing a whole spiel on that one,
I'm impressed you even mentioned it, in fairness.
I wouldn't have mentioned it.
The less words, the better.
Yeah. He's a good player.
Thank you very much, Bun.
good player as well.
He's all right.
He's better than, what was it, Bobby Boucher or whatever your cornerback is. What was
Beanie
his name?
Bishop.
Beanie
Boucher.
Bishop. I prefer Dave's name.
That
Yeah.
was
That's the
that
water
was the
boy.
week 5 review done.
Yeah.
We'll be back shortly with the week 6 preview pod. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribing to patreon.com/finaldown. You can do that and give us some money as well for all the extra stuff we're going to do for you. If not, you can still get the notifications on there as well and get access to some more exclusive stuff on there as well. And of course, on social media, if you want to do the pod versus the people, then please contact Denver Dave at DenverDave30 on Twitter. Or if you want to console Punk Raider when he has his next meltdown this Sunday, then at Punk_Raider. Finn, who are you playing this weekend?
But we'll be celebrating this weekend. We're playing the
absolutely
Steelers.
We've got a divisional game against the Niners.
Oh, well, please contact at Finn DeHawk on Twitter on that one. Or if you want to just congratulate me on Monday morning, then it's at Final Down NFL on Twitter.
No one's going to be sending that.
No, they won't, will they? But I'll still be celebrating anyway. So until next
I was
time.
happy. I was happy that you fell for my thing on Twitter, where it was who's the worst fan base out of the Steelers or
the Cowboys.
The Cowboys, and I put Steelers 100%. I knew you'd come back on that immediately. I knew you wouldn't let it go.
Well,
He
say
always
something.
bites.
No, I know.
Almost
It's part of the
Nibble,
fun.
nibble.
Yeah, there were Chuckles over there chimed in as well, didn't you, Punk? Yeah, thanks very much.
Always.
I'll get you, boys. Anyway, until next time, I've been Jim, that's been Finn, that's been Punk Raider, that's been Never Dave, and thank you very much for listening.